Alright, boys and girls, here are the answers to your Unit 3 practice quiz. Question number 1 asked, for each fraction write an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 10, 100, or 1000. Then write the fraction as a decimal. Question 1a was turning 1/25th into a fraction and a decimal. We're going to write the first fraction here over 100. So to do so, we have to multiply both the bottom, the denominator, and the top number, the numerator, by 4, in which case we are left with the denominator of 100 and a numerator of 4. So 4/100th is partway through the answer. To change into a decimal, we refer back to our place value chart, and we can see that the 4, the second digit here, this would be the hundredths, so we write it as 0.04. Question B, 13/20. Difficult to change this fraction to an equivalent fraction over 10, so in which case we turn it to an equivalent fraction over 100 again. To do so, we multiply the top and bottom number both by 5. 13 times 5 is 65. There's our fraction. As a decimal, again, referring back to our place value chart, 65 hundredths is how we read this, so our decimal is 0.65. Question C, 19/200. In this case, we cannot change it to a fraction over 100, an equivalent fraction over 100, so we need to multiply by 5 to make it an equivalent fraction over 1000. (19 times 5 gives you an answer of 95. Now to convert that into a decimal, slightly trickier here. We need to understand that 0.95 would be the correct answer if it was 95 over 100, but it's 95 over 1000, so we must make it 0.095. Question 2. Order the set of numbers below from least to greatest. Show your work. So as a hint, it's best to either convert all of them to decimals or to fractions with common denominators. In this case, I've selected to choose, I've chosen decimals. 1 is already in decimal form, but we start with 11/5. To write that as a decimal, we change it from an improper fraction to a mixed number first. So we need to figure out how many 5s fit into 11. So 2 5s fit into 11, that's your whole number, and there's 1/5 left over. So 1/5 you will know written as a decimal is 0.2, so 11/5 is 2.2. 2.3 is already provided for you. 10/4, we use the same strategy as before. We figure out how many 4s fit into 10, so 2 4s fit into 10, so that'll give us our whole number. We have 2 left over. So that written 10/4 as a mixed number is 2 2/4, which gives us 2.5. 2 2/3 written as a decimal is 2.6 repeating. So in this case, I didn't mean to do so, but all of these numbers are already in order from least to greatest. So I would just have to take these numbers that I've written here, write it in the answer as they looked before. Question 3. Find a number in between each pair of numbers. Show your work. A, 2 fractions were given, 8/11 and 9/11. In this case, we cannot use 8.5/11. We don't use a decimal over top of a denominator. So anytime you're given a number that's in fraction form, we want to find a fraction that's in between those two. So to do so, we use equivalent fractions. If we multiply both denominators by 2, we're left with equivalent fractions over 22. So if we multiply the bottom number by 2, we do the same with the top number. 8 times 2 is 16. 9 times 2 on the other side is 18. When the denominators are the same, we figure out a numerator in between. So in this case, 17/22 is the correct answer. Question B, we're given 2 decimals. And we need to understand, to solve this question, we use equivalent decimals. 4.3 is just the same as 4.30. 4.4 is the same as 4.40. Now all we need to do is we just need to pick a number in between 4.30 and 4.40, 4.35. Add or subtract, show your work. The key here is to line up the decimals in a vertical line. Once you've done that, it becomes relatively easy. So my decimals here, one on top of each other stacked. Okay, the only thing that could be problematic is there is no number here. We're assuming that that's a 0. We just add those up. 2 plus 0 plus 6 is 8. 4 plus 9 is 13. We carry the 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. Plus 1 is 10. Plus 8 is 18. Carry the 1. We're left with 48.38. Question B. Subtraction now. And again, we can estimate. Start off with estimation, always a good idea. Looking at the whole numbers, 9 minus 6, your answer is going to be about 3. So if you get an answer like 30, you know you've gone somewhere wrong based on your estimation. We stack our decimals again, one on top of each other. And now it's just relatively simple subtraction. Can't take 9 away from 7, so we have to borrow. That becomes 17 minus 9. 17 minus 9 is 8. We borrowed from that 5, so that became a 4. Can't subtract 8 from 4, so we borrow from the 9. 14 minus 8 is 6. We borrowed 1 from the 9. 8 minus 6 is 2. And that was close to our estimation of 3. Another one with subtraction. Again, we stack our decimal places. This is where we went wrong in our mid-unit quiz. We forgot that this is actually a 0 here. So if I add that 0 in, that's still an equivalent decimal. Now I just subtract. I can't take 7 away from 0, so I borrow from the 6. 10 minus 7 is 3. This was 5. Can't take 9 away from 5, so we borrow from the 7 to make it 15 minus 9, which is 6. We borrowed from that 7 to make that 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. Question 5. Estimate, then multiply to solve the answer. 7.3 times 2.5. We look at the big numbers only. 7 times 2 equals 14. Our answer is going to be around 14. It's going to be an underestimate as we have rounded both factors down. Now we just take away the decimal places, solve the answer, and put the decimal place back in the answer where it's logical. 5 3s are 15. We'll carry the 1. 5 7s are 35, plus 1 is 36. Okay, here's our placeholder. 2 3s are 6. 2 7s are 14. We add these up. We're left with 1,825. Because our estimation was 14, the logical answer is 18.25. Next question, 6.9 times 3.4. We estimate first. Okay, I've rounded that up to 7. Rounded down to 3. Our answer is going to be around 21. Take the decimal place out. We can add it later. 4 9s are 36. Carry the 3. 27 is our answer there. Add the placeholder. 3 9s are 27. Carry the 2. 18 plus 2 is 20. Add it up. 2,346. Our estimation was 21, so logically the answer is 23.46. Division. 9.45 divided by 0.3. When there is a decimal point in the divisor, multiply by 10, 100, or 1,000 to get rid of it. Whatever we do to the divisor, though, we have to do the same with the dividend. So we can rewrite this question taking away the decimal place. That 0.3 became 3. I'm simply just taking the decimal place here, moving it one place to the right. I do the same with the dividend. Now I place the decimal place above the dividend in the quotient. Now I just solve. How many 3's fit into 4? 1. Multiply. Left with 15. How many 3's go into 15? 5 do. And that's my answer. Similar question. We get rid of the decimal place in the divisor. So we have to multiply both the dividend and the divisor by 10. We rewrite the question as how many 6's fit into 923.4. place the decimal in the quotient directly above where it was in the dividend. How many 6's fit into 9? 1 do. Multiply, bring down. How many 6's fit into 32? 5 do. Becomes 30. We subtract. How many 6's fit into 23? 3 do. Multiply, bring down. How many 6's fit into 54? 9 do, with no remainder. 153.9 is the answer. If you're keen and you want to double check, if you multiplied 153.9 times 0.6, you would get 92.34. Question 7. Evaluate using the order of operations. Show your work. Which operation do we do first? Based on bed mass, we know that we do the multiplication before the addition in this case. To estimate 4 times 4 equals 16, our answer is going to be around 16. We take the decimal place out and we can add it in later. 2 9s are 18, carry the 1, 78. I have my placeholder. 4 9s are 36, carry the 3, 4 3s are 12, plus 3 is 15. I add these digits up. 1638, my estimation was 16. Logically, my decimal place is going to go between the 6 and the 3. So I plug that answer into my question. Now with addition of decimals, I just stack the decimals vertically and I solve my answer. 19.18 is the final answer. Next question. Which operation do we do first? We're going to do the division first. I've taken away the decimal place in the divisor, so I have to do the same with the dividend. How many 2's fit into 96? 48 do. Question now reads 78.9 minus 48. Stack the decimals, one on top of another. I'm left with 30.9 is my answer. Question 8. Calculate, show your work. We need to find 10% of 78. So to do that, we change that 10% into a decimal and then multiply. 78 times 0.1. In this case, there's one decimal place in the question. There becomes one decimal place in the answer. So our answer is 7.8. Question B, 15% of 60. So again, I changed that 15% into a decimal, 0.15. 60 times 0.15. Once I calculate it, it becomes 900. There's 2 decimal places in the question. There becomes 2 decimal places in the answer. The answer is 9. Question C, 35% of 65. We use the same strategies. 65 times 0.35. After all our calculations are done, in addition here, there are 2 decimal places in the question, there are 2 decimal places in the product. 22.75 is 35% of 65. Question 9, last question. The regular price of a skateboard is $75. Find the sale price before taxes when it is on sale for the following percentages. So 30% off. So to solve this question, we need to find what 30% of 75 is, and then subtract that total from the original price, $75. 75 times 0.3. 1 decimal place in the question, 1 decimal place in the answer. 22.5 or $22.50. I subtract that from 75. I'm left with $52.50. 25% off now. 75 times 0.25. That gives us an answer of $18.75. If there are 2 decimal places in the question, there are 2 in the answer. $18.75. I have to take that off the original price, and I'm left with $56.25. Success happens when preparation meets opportunity. You guys are well prepared. You'll be successful on the quiz tomorrow. Good luck.